This past December, when I moved into my new house, something really strange started happening. I got this old photo of me in the mailbox with no return address. The photo was me on my bike back when I was a kid. My first guess was my mom, trying to remind me of home, but she was just as puzzled as I was when I called her. Then, more letters showed up, each with photos of me doing everyday kid stuff, like playing in my yard or walking to school. The scariest part was when I got a USB drive in the mail. I plugged it into my computer, not sure what to expect. There were videos of me. They looked like they were taken recently. Watching those videos really troubled me. I couldn't sleep well after that. I got a note the next time. It told me to meet where it all began, at the old treehouse. It felt like a bad idea, but I had to know who was doing this and if it was a prank or something. So I went to where my treehouse used to be, thinking this had to be one of my friends, because how would they know about the treehouse? It was about 4:40 in the evening with some light out, but it was starting to get dark. And there, this man steps out. He looked sort of familiar, but older. He said he knew me from when I was a kid and watched me grow up. Turns out he was my old neighbor, Mr. Michael, a quiet guy who used to just watch us kids play from his window. He told me he missed those days, and he just wanted to remember them. It was his way of trying to connect, I guess. I asked him, "How did you get those old pictures and videos of me?" It was a bit weird. He looked confused. "I thought you'd like them," he said. "I wanted to make you happy by remembering the good times." "But Mr. Michael, it was scary. You can't just record people and send them stuff without asking. It's not right," I explained. He looked sad. "I just found those tapes and thought it would be nice to share them." He said he wanted to show me something he had in his house. He lived in the same house. I felt nervous. "No, Mr. Michael, I don't think that's a good idea," I said. He looked a bit upset. "Why not? Don't be rude. It will only take a minute," he said, trying to make me go with him. But him saying I was being rude for not wanting to go made me feel more uncomfortable. I had to tell him, "It's not about being rude. What you did before with the videos and photos really upset me. I'm just not okay going to your house." I knew I had to listen to my gut, even if he didn't like it. While I was slowly moving back towards my car, I tried to change the topic. "Michael, how did you find out where I live now? And why wasn't your address on the packages you sent?" I asked. I hoped this would make him talk more and give me time to back away safely. Michael looked at me kind of weird when I asked him those questions. "I found out where you live," he said, but wouldn't tell me how. I kept stepping back towards my car slowly, but Michael stepped closer to me. "I just wanted to share old times with you," he said, but something about how he said it made me panic. "I need to go, Michael," I said, trying to sound brave. "It was nice to see you, but this feels weird." When I turned to run to my car, Michael shouted, "You'll be sorry if you don't see what I have from our past." His voice was loud and scary. That made me run faster to my car. I locked the doors as soon as I got in and drove away fast. My heart was beating super fast. I knew I had to do something about this, maybe tell the police or a friend. But right then, all I wanted was to be far away from him. I went to the police after that. I brought all the letters and tapes he sent me. I told the police about the meetup at the old treehouse and how he was acting. I also told them where Mr. Michael lives. The police listened and said they would go talk to him. After that, I felt a bit better, but still a little nervous. The police kept all the stuff Michael sent me. Time went by and I didn't hear from him anymore. I was just happy it was all over. I learned it's really important to tell someone if something scary is happening, even if you suspect it could be a prank. That evening could have gone a lot worse. I'm glad I went to the police afterward. I don't think he would have stopped if they didn't go to his house to talk to him. I think in his mind he thinks this was normal. That's the part that leaves me a bit puzzled. I'm not sure if he even understands why what he was doing all these years was wrong. I live in a small town in Alaska. It's night all day for about 2 months every year. I needed a job, so when I heard about one at a factory, I applied right away. They called me for an interview. The factory was outside of town. On my way to the factory for my job interview, I saw a dog. It was limping, holding one paw off the ground like it was hurt. I felt bad seeing it in pain. I tried to get close and help, but the dog seemed scared and kept moving away. The dog had gray and white fur and looked like no one was taking care of it. It didn't want me to touch it, but it led me to a spot where it had been hiding under some old boxes. I knew I had to help it somehow. I thought about calling a vet, but everything was too far away. I decided I would come back for the dog after my interview. I hoped it would be okay until then. I kept thinking about the dog as I went to the factory. The factory was big and looked kind of scary in the dark. When I got there, no one else's car was there. That felt strange. I went to the door and it was open. I stepped inside and said, "Hello?" But no one answered. The lights were dim and it felt creepy. Then the door slammed shut and locked behind me. I was stuck inside. I called out again but only heard my own echo. I started to feel really afraid. I thought maybe this was a weird test for the job. I tried to find someone or a way out. The place was huge and full of shadows. Then I heard a noise like someone was there with me. I asked who was there but got no answer. I used my phone's light to see. I thought I saw someone. I had to figure out how to get out. Inside the factory, I found a window that was a bit dirty. I cleaned it a bit and looked outside. That's when I saw another factory right behind the one I was in. This other factory looked newer and some cars were parked in front. I thought, oh no, I was supposed to go to that factory for the interview, not this old one. I wondered how I ended up locked in here. Maybe they used to use this old factory but moved to the new one and forgot to mention it to me. But thinking about that didn't help me get out. While I was trying to figure things out, I saw a man walking outside. He saw me through the window and stopped. He looked really mad and started yelling, "What did you do to my dog?" That must have been the dog's owner, but he got it all wrong. I didn't hurt his dog. I wanted to help it. Now I was even more confused. Locked inside, and someone thought I did something bad to a dog. I shouted to the man outside. I didn't do anything to the dog. I saw it was hurt on my way here for an interview. I'm actually stuck inside. Can you help me get out? Maybe the door's jammed from the outside? His face twisted in anger, and he yelled back, "Yes, it's jammed. I locked you in, and now I'm going to make you pay for what you did to my dog." I was shocked. His words made my heart race. "But you've got it all wrong," I tried to explain, my voice desperate. "I didn't hurt your dog. I tried to help it. I'm just here for a job interview. That's all." The man's stare was cold and unyielding. I realized then that explaining was useless. He had made up his mind about me, and it seemed like nothing I said would change it. He just walked away and left me alone. It got really quiet. I felt stuck and didn't know what to do. He thought I hurt his dog, but I didn't. He locked me in the factory and didn't want to help me get out. I looked around, trying to think of a way out. The doors were locked, and the windows that opened were too high up. I needed to figure something out quickly. The silence made me feel even more worried. I had to get out of here, but how? I didn't think calling the cops was a good idea because everything is so far away here. They would take a long time to get to me. I didn't know what the man might do if I waited that long. So I tried to call the interviewer. But just as I made the call, my phone showed it only had 1% of battery left. It rang once, but before anyone could answer, my phone turned off. It was completely dead. Now, I had no phone, no light, and no way to get in touch with anyone. I got super terrified when my phone died, and it was all dark. I tried to find a door to get out, banging on locked doors and walls. Then, I heard the man outside saying he was going to make me sorry. That made me even more scared. I peeked out a little window, and I saw him with a big can of gas. He was pouring the gas all around the outside of the factory. When he got to the front door, gas started coming in from the ground where I was. I knew this was really, really bad. Then I heard some guys talking from outside. I looked out that window and saw two men smoking in the distance. They looked like they worked at the factory where I should have gone. I banged on the window and yelled really loud. They saw me and came over fast. They caught the other guy just as he was about to light a match and start a fire. They unjammed and opened the front door, and I saw him on the ground. One of the men was holding him there. I explained about the dog and that I was just there for an interview. One of the two men told me the crazy guy was a homeless man who always bothered people at the factory, but he never did something this bad. The police came and took him away. I was so frightened and didn't know if I should go back. But I did go back for another interview and got the job. I don't know what happened to the dog. This guy kept popping up around my place around September when it was starting to get cold outside. He just stood there staring at my house. It was odd. I thought maybe he was lost. He was tall and thin, with a look that made me feel uneasy. He wore a dark, old coat. His face was hard to remember, but his eyes were different. They were sharp and seemed to look right through you. He moved in a way that was slick but spooky, blending in but still sticking out to me. He didn't just show up once. I saw him a lot, like when I was going to work or hanging out somewhere. One day I saw him again, but this time at work. He was standing far off in the parking lot when I got there. The morning air was misty, making him look almost like a ghost. It felt strange to see him there. I wanted to find out why he was always around, so I tried to walk up to him, but every time I got close, he would just disappear. It was as if he could vanish into thin air or blend into the crowd. Then, another time, I looked out my office window and saw him across the street. He was looking up as if he could see me. That really freaked me out. I ran outside to talk to him, but he was gone by the time I got there. It was like he was playing a game with me. It made me feel very uncomfortable. I knew I wasn't going crazy. I knew what I saw and felt was real, but I didn't tell anyone at work. It was hard to keep it all inside. I was scared of what people might think. I didn't want them to worry or look at me as a victim. I didn't want them to think I was weird or that I was bringing problems to work. I had to find out what was going on myself. So I acted like everything was okay. I would look around calmly, trying to see if he was there, without letting anyone notice what I was doing. I was always looking over my shoulder, wondering if he was watching me. One night, I found a note on my door that just said, "Hello." It looked like someone wrote it in a rush. I looked around but saw no one. At a family picnic, there he was again, just watching us. My brother tried to talk to him, but he acted like he didn't get what my brother was saying. He looked like he was faking not knowing English. My brother grabbed his arm to stop him from walking away, but the man looked more confused. He mumbled and shook his head. Then, the man ran away super fast. He almost got hit by a car when he ran across the road. The car's driver shouted at him, but he didn't stop running. We lost sight of him. My brother said I should get security cameras. So I called a company to get cameras set up, and the same stalker guy showed up as if he was there to install them. He told me it was a good system for me. When I asked him to leave, he grabbed my arm and said, "Are you sure? This can protect you." He spoke perfect English, which surprised me. I screamed for him to leave, hoping a neighbor would hear. Then he left. Right after he left, someone else came to fix the cameras. But this time, it was the real installer from the company. There was even a van and everything. But after what had just happened, how could I open the door? I was too scared and didn't know if I could trust this person. So, I didn't answer. The guy knocked a few times and said he was here to install the cameras. He sounded okay, but my head was all over the place thinking, what if it's another trick? I just couldn't shake off the fear. I watched from the window as he left a note and drove away. All day, I kept wondering if I made a mistake by not letting the actual installer in. But the thought of going through something scary again stopped me. This whole thing made me feel so alone. It It was hard to trust anyone now, even people who might be trying to help. The next day, I found a package at my door with candy and a note saying, "You're so sweet." I called the police, but they needed more to do something. That's when I decided to get my own cameras and put them up myself. I bought my own security camera online and set it up over the weekend. I changed how I did things, hoping to avoid him, but he always seemed to know where I was. Once I was jogging and saw him following me. I ran to a crowded place and he was gone. I didn't see him for a while and thought maybe he had stopped. The day I found my security cameras trashed, I felt sick to my stomach. It was like a punch in the gut, leaving me exposed. I couldn't believe someone could do this without me knowing. I checked my phone, but there was nothing except for one clip. My camera caught him holding a sign that said, "We need privacy." That was just enough to take to the police. The police started watching my area more after I showed them the clip. I haven't seen him since. Even though he's gone, I'm still scared. Whoever he was, he made my home feel like a prison. I did what I could to fight back, even though I felt scared and alone. Whoever he was, I hope he never comes back.